Hey, and welcome to the very first live show of 2021. It always takes a little while to get used to saying the correct year. I'm never bad at filling out checks. Not really have to fill out checks very often anymore, but when you write in the date. Also, I just wanted to say I hope everybody had a great holiday season. You had some downtime with your friends and family, and we all hope that 2021 is going to be a much better year. Vaccinations are taking place. People are hopefully going to be able to travel again. That would be good. And there you go. So that's the good news is 2021 is here and things are going to get better. All right. I have to do some poses off the beginning. If you follow Instagram and you get the story, the reminder that the show is live, Andrea needs a picture for that because she's in charge of that. So I'll do one now. I do my funny poses. All right, that's enough of that. What's coming up? Well, Gladiator. This week you get two Andrea and Zach reviews, or he said, she said reviews. Wednesday, we're going to drop the Jeep Gladiator. We had some extra videos that we did in November and December, and the Jeep Gladiator never dropped. So we're going to do a midweek drop on that one. That's going to go on Wednesday. Then on Saturday, it's going to be the Volvo XC40. Then the following week, there's going to be another midweek drop. That's the Ford Explorer Hybrid. Then we do the Mercedes-Benz AMG 35 A-Class. And then the Escalade, which I'm really looking forward to driving. And then the Lexus NX. And then there'll be a whole bunch more other stuff. All right, what else do we want to talk about? Yeah, Car Cost Canada is the main sponsor of the channel. If you could get your questions, sorry, not your questions through, but follow along, go to carcostcanada.com, use the promo code Motormouth, become an expert member, and if you're looking for a car, if anybody you know is looking for a car, just sign up. It's free to sign up. Motormouth is the user code, and might as well get the information that you need to go on shopping with the best possible deal, like what the dealer paid for the car. Okay, let's get into the questions. Barrick is here, always first in the line. I always like to see that. Between the new Mazda CX-5 Turbo and the Acura RDX, which crossover do you think is best? Well, these are both good choices. I think that if it was me personally, I'd probably lean towards the Mazda CX-5 Turbo. I just like the interior better. It has more of a, more of a conventional layout. The RDX has that swipe pad that isn't for everybody. I'm okay with it. I kind of get better at it the more I use it, but it's not my favorite. I much prefer the infotainment system in the CX-5. However, the CX-5 or the Mazda entertainment units have been very slow to start up. Like you start the car and you wait and wait and wait for them to start up. So that's something they could definitely work on. They're both good choices. I think the RDX has more power. I think it's 280 roughly and 250 on premium gas for the CX-5. Yeah, they're both good choices. Both good handling as well. Velocity, do you own any Seiko or G-Shocks? If so, which ones? I have I don't have a G-Shock. I have a Seiko SKX007, which my son has taken over. Jack, my youngest son, Charlie, he's actually got a Tag Heuer F1 watch that Andrea gave me when we got engaged years ago. He's wearing that one and the Seiko SKX007. I had a 009. I gave it to my friend Tony Morris Jr. He wears it. But yeah, no G-Shocks. I don't like. I mean, I'm of the age I remember when digital watches were the big thing, and those sort of like big clunky. I don't like them. If I was going to wear a digital watch, I'd just get an Apple Watch. All right, Queen's Calf Corgi is here. Well, you get a chance to drive the CT5 Premium Luxury with the twin-turbo V6. Also, it comes with self-heal tires, so they're just as expensive or run flat to replace. I think, are you not referring to the CT5V? That's the car we chose as our overall car of the year. I'm not sure, because the CT5 with the twin-turbo V6, that's the CT5V. And what you mean by self-heal tires is run flats. And run flats are not my favorite. I think Cadillac does a better job than BMW in isolating the noise and vibration that comes into the cabin. But yeah, if I had my way, I'd have a car without run flats. Jason McMaster, have you ever had a chance to ask interior designers and engineers why they continue to use piano black? Well, I totally understand where you're coming. A lot of people don't like piano black because it can scratch and show wear after a little while. It shows a lot of dust and fingerprints. I think using a plastic item that has a high gloss like that certainly gives the impression of a more upscale interior, even though it's just plastic. So that's probably why they do it. Now the trend has moved towards that piano black finish on the outside of vehicles. Like if you look at this, this is the Sorrento. Excuse me. The video just went out this past Saturday, and all around the wheels and all around the bottom and the front and back of this is all high gloss as well. I think that's exactly why. It's basically an option to give an upscale look and feel for something that doesn't really cost that much to make. But yeah, point well taken. I will ask next time I get in front of them, because those days hopefully are coming back, where we get to sit down and have a meal and a beer or whatever with the engineers and designers. That's what the only thing I miss about what I do. Come on in, Jack. Oh, it's beer o'clock. Jack, you have a seat, and you give everybody an update on what's happening with Team Canada while I pour this beer.
It's 4-0. 29-22 shots.
So what
for Canada.
happened with the Russians?
Got their goal called back for offside after they were in the zone for over a minute on the power play. So then they got their goal called back. So
they had a power play for a minute and a half. They scored, and then Team Canada says, "Oh, wait a second."
We'll challenge, and then they got called back for offside.
All right.
So yeah,
it's looking good for Canada in the finals.
Yeah, I don't think Russia's going to score 4 goals in 12 minutes, considering they haven't scored all game.
Well, I remember there was one World Junior Championships where they did lose 4 goals in the third period.
Yeah, but
I think it was in Edmonton.
Canada's also a lot better, though.
Yeah, this team is amazing. I think they've got 19 number 1 draft picks or something like that. Thanks, Jack. First round draft picks. And if you're watching this and you're not Canadian, and there's several of you, of course, the World Junior Hockey Championships are on, and it's a big deal in Canada. It happens right at Christmas, and it runs through the New Year, and the final is going to be tomorrow, and it's looking like a great setup for Canada-USA. So yeah, let's hope that happens. All right, let's have a sip of this. So my youngest son gave me this for Christmas. Our dog, by the way, his name is Guinness, because he's an Irish Terrier, and so he gave me this mug with German beer in it. Ah, that's a good fresh one. All right. Sam B. Happy New Year, Zach. For a 4-year lease, would you choose between an A250 hatch, Mazda 3 turbo sedan, or Volkswagen GTI Mark 7, or the latest, the one that's out just now? This is a really good question. It's interesting you bring it up, because the car we picked up today was the Mercedes AMG 35, so the A-Class hatchback, but with the more powerful engine. And man, does that ever make it a nice car. In fact, I think if I was going to choose between the AMG 35, the A-Class, and the Golf R, the current Golf R, I would go with the Mercedes-Benz. Now, it is a lot more expensive, but it's one hell of a car. Great handling, wonderful engine, yeah, beautiful interior. So this is a very good question. I would say probably they're all excellent choices. This is a really good one. So the Mercedes and the Mazda 3 are available with all-wheel drive, and the GTI is front-wheel drive. So that's definitely going to be a factor in terms of getting the power down. So the GTI is a wonderful, light-feeling car, but you can get front wheel spin, especially the inside wheel when you're going around a corner in wet conditions. You can get the wheel spin and even a little bit of wheel hop in a GTI. So that's something to consider. So you have to ask yourself, do you want to have front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive? So between the A250 and the Mazda 3, I'm not sure the prices off the top of my head, but the Mazda 3 doesn't have the same kind of snap and pop to it. If you haven't watched the video that Andrea and I did of the Mazda 3 Turbo, it's a turbocharged engine, but it isn't a kick you in the seat of the pants kind of hot hatch. It's just a really good, almost luxury feeling car. So these are all great choices, and I think you've got some winners there. And then I'm sure you know that there's a new GTI coming this summer. Now I can say this summer now because it is 2021. So towards the end of the summer, the GTI will be coming. But yeah, my advice is drive them all, see which one you like. Hey Zach, Happy New Year. Would you say the Civic Type R is the top 5 sports cars to come out of Japan after LFA, original NSX, anything else above it? Your top 5 JDM sports cars of all time. Well, I would say probably, the NSX, the original NSX, the LFA. I would say the Miata, without question. There was a Mazda Speed Miata years ago. They only had it for 1 or 2 years. That was a pretty cool car. I would say the Supra would be in there. The original RX-7 would be maybe not a supercar, but one hell of a great car. There's been plenty of them. Supra would be in there. There's lots to choose from. Some people would say the S2000, the Honda S2000. The Lexus ISF isn't really a supercar, but not a bad machine. Yeah, that's putting me on the spot. I would say those ones. Nicholas is saying Navigator or Escalade. Well, I haven't driven the Escalade yet. I get it next week. 1 week from today, we will get the Escalade. Looking forward to driving it. Navigator, I didn't like as much as the Expedition. I prefer the Expedition. The Navigator is too soft for my taste. I'm not a fan of an overly traditional luxury ride, and it's got air suspension, and the vehicle just is big and heavy and sort of floats along in its suspension. I don't personally like that. If you do, then you would love the Lincoln. So I'm looking forward to driving the Escalade. The Escalade, the one that I've driven in the past, had a much firmer ride. It has magnetic ride controllers, a highly sophisticated adaptive suspension system. So I would gravitate towards that for that.
Look, it's the all-new Macan.
I would gravitate towards that just for the ride. So yeah, that's my input. Check back in a week or so when I have the other one to drive. Our Palisade lease is coming up soon. What would you get next for 7-8 seats, $700 a month? How can your Palisade lease be coming up? It's not even 2 years old. I get another one. Just stick with it. Keep it. Buy it out. So I think if you're looking for a 7-8 seat vehicle in that price range, I would get a Telluride or a Palisade. And then after that would be probably the Highlander. Eddie Chin saying Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you. Why doesn't Mazda sell more cars compared to other Japanese brands? They have the best exterior and interior designs, excellent reliability, good handling, etc. Well, one thing that they have been doing at Mazda, you might not be aware of this, is they're trying to elevate their brand with those features like better interior, nice looking design, great handling, wonderful engines, all of that, and move the price up a little bit. They're going into the entry level premium, and you're seeing that with the Mazda 3 all-wheel drive turbo is $36,000 in the Canadian market. It's less in the United States, of course, but it is almost more car than you get for the direct competitors like the A-Class I mentioned a moment ago. But that's what they're kind of doing. I'm not sure if it's a plan that's going to work out for them and sell them more cars. It's certainly getting attention, but it's just a brand that maybe doesn't have the marketing clout as some of the other big brands, but I agree with you. And in fact, was it Consumer Reports? I believe it was Consumer Reports that chose them as their top pick. So not their top pick, but their top brand. So I think that maybe with some added in cash from Toyota that's happened and maybe some platform sharing, they can move the needle. But I agree with you. They make great products, and it's unfortunate they don't sell more vehicles. Is the Nissan e-Power coming to Canada? The concept is really good. I don't really know much about it, so I can't really say. A loaded Kia Seltos or a slightly used 18 CRV Touring. Your thoughts? I would go with a Seltos. If you don't need to have the extra space of the CRV, I think that it's a really nice package, the Seltos. That would be, that's the way I would lean. And probably the main reason is that with the loaded Seltos, you're getting the turbocharged engine and a dual clutch transmission. With the CRV, you're getting a CVT. Now, it's not a bad CVT, but I would prefer personally to get the dual clutch. AK is saying 272 horsepower for the RDX. Yeah, so off the top of my head, I guess 280, so I was close. There's only so many things I can remember about all the different brands. I do pretty well, but not all the time. Happy New Year, Zach. Thoughts on Ariel Atom 4? Have you ever driven an Atom? I don't know much about the 4. I mean, we've all seen Jeremy Clarkson bombing around in Top Gear with his face getting blown back in the wind. Really, that's all I know about the Ariel Atom. I'm not sure it's certified in North America at all, but it's a very cool idea to have such a high horsepower car and a lightweight frame, no body. I mean, really cool. That's got to be one of the most memorable Jeremy Clarkson moments, was driving the Ariel Atom. What do you think? Is Mazda CX-5 normal, sufficient for daily driving versus the turbo engine? Thinking of Grand Touring CX-5. Okay, so what I would suggest is if you're thinking of getting a CX-5 and not getting the turbo, that's fine, because it certainly costs more money to get the turbo. I would, if you can afford the 2.5 liter, and in some markets they've dropped the 2 liter altogether. I even think in Canada they might have gotten rid of it. But yeah, I'm not sure where you're calling in from or typing in from. I would suggest that the 2.5 liter is absolutely fine. I mean, that was the engine in the CX-5 for many, many years. So yeah, there's absolutely no problem with that engine. Martin is here saying, Happy New Year, Zach and Andrea. Stay safe. We appreciate that. Same to you. I need a 2-row large SUV because I'll be installing rear-facing child seats, so I think Atlas Crossport is one, but would you recommend something else to consider? Well, you can go with the Honda Passport is another one. You could go with a Murano is another one, a Ford Edge. The Jeep Grand Cherokee, and there's big deals on the Jeep Grand Cherokee because the Grand Cherokee, there's going to be at some point this year a new Grand Cherokee shown. So those would be kind of my choices. But yeah, the Cross Sport or the Sport, I think it's terribly named. The Atlas Cross Sport. I said they should have called it the Atlas Sport Cross. Some marketing wiener somewhere chose that. Yeah, give it a shot. So the Atlas is already such a big vehicle, right? It is one of the biggest in the class. And then you get rid of the third seat, but you keep the second seat legroom the same. It's absolutely mammoth. So if you're looking for a large second row seat to get those rear-facing car seats in, that's one place to look at. And the Passport is probably another good choice. Hey, Zach, what are your thoughts on the Golf R Mark 8? Well, hey, listen, Zachy, let's just get behind the wheel sometime and get it out on the road. I think that, they're going to make an excellent car, and it's going to be more power. It is more powerful and all those things. I don't really know what to say other than I want to drive it. The one thing it's funny because I was driving the AMG 35, the A-Class today, picking it up and driving it home. And it has a more sporty suspension and steering feel. The one thing I wish that the Golf R had was a slightly firmer ride. I always call it, if you watch any of my videos over the last few years, I call a lot of the Volkswagen cars Audi Light. And I think that is more of the tuning of the suspension for the Golf R is quite soft. In fact, we had it on the track at Calabogie for a launch event about 3 or 4 years ago. And Patrick Carpentier was our lead driver, taking us through all the beautiful twists and turns of that great racetrack and, getting the car going and around the corners. And I thought it was really quite soft. And that's one thing I hope that they improve the suspension. But the Golf R is a benchmark. It's a great product. It's one of the only vehicles like it that's going to have a manual transmission. So, sorry. I just went through all of that, and then I realized you said Mark 8 Golf. All right, yeah. So there you go. Those are my thoughts. I can't wait to drive the new one. Hey, Zach, your thoughts on the new Toyota Venza? Is Toyota all-wheel drive as good as Subaru? No, this is not a same kind of system as Subaru. It is a hybrid. So the Venza is a Toyota RAV4 hybrid. So what you have is electrified system in the front with the gasoline engine, and the all-wheel drive system for the rear wheels is just a separate electric motor. So when you need extra traction for the rear wheels, it's an electric motor at the back, and it isn't connected mechanically to the front system at all. So that is not going to be as effective as a Subaru all-wheel drive system. So take that for what it is. Can you tell me about wind and road noise level in the Jetta Sedan 1.4 you tested with your sweet and sour review? Was it quiet? I'm thinking of getting one with the manual, of course. Now, I'm doing this from memory. I think my overall memory of the Jetta is that, like I just mentioned with a lot of Volkswagen products, I call it Audi Light. And I got that sense driving the Jetta that it felt much more refined and sophisticated. A bigger car with a longer wheelbase, you're going to get that sense. As for road noise, this is a very specific thing to the individual person. What I think is tolerable and good might not be good for you. And this is really not a stretch. It's going to be really easy for you to get a Jetta 1.4 turbo and take it out for a drive. And drive it in the conditions you want to drive it. If you drive on the highway all the time, take it on the highway. It's a surprisingly nice car to drive. As for volume on the inside, you have to try these things yourself and see if you think it's fine. From memory, it's been a couple of years since I've driven one. I think it's fine. Hey, Zach, have you seen the Suzuki Jimny with G-Wagon body kit? I think it looks awesome. I haven't seen that. I've seen the Jimny. I remember the first time I saw the latest Jimny was at the Geneva Motor Show a couple of years ago, and I was just like, oh my God, I love that. And I wish we could get it in North America. I don't think it's going to pass crash worthiness here for our market. But no, I haven't seen it with the G-Wagon kit on it. That would be pretty funny. All right, let's go down to our first super chat. Dean is here. Any new luxury cars that don't have a lot of tech? Simple. Find all the tech unnecessary and distracting. Who does clean interiors? You know what? It's really quite interesting because the brand that I believe was one of the worst when it came to going to the center screen and the connection between the driver and the screen when it first came out was BMW with their iDrive system. But as the years have gone by, I mean, it was originally introduced in the 7 Series in 2002 or 2003, I believe. And then over the last almost 20 years, BMW has perfected this system where it is very, very good. So I would say that BMW does an excellent job. I would say that domestic luxury brands do it even better. Like the new Lincoln system is excellent. The new Cadillac user experience, the one we raved about in the CT5V, and it won our overall car of the year for 2020, is so simple and easy to use. It still has the real buttons for the HVAC system and everything below it. So I would say fairly simple. You're not going to get a super clean, easy, like old school car any longer. You just can't do it because people, unlike you, are demanding these infotainment systems and more tech. It's just the way it's going to go. I see Mike sent one. I didn't get the super chat a moment ago. Why doesn't make a subcompact SUV like Jimny? Oh, I'm not sure what that means. Why doesn't anyone make a subcompact SUV like Jimny? Well, we used to years ago have the Suzuki Sidekick, and we had all of these, there was the Tracker and the Asuna Sunrunner. They were all basically built off the Suzuki platform. And there is an opportunity, I think, for a brand to come back with that. But I think it probably comes down to the new crash test and the pedestrian test and maybe the engineering money that have to go in to make it. But I agree with you. I think there's a good opportunity there. You could argue that maybe just maybe Ford is trying with the Bronco Sport to come up with something. But nah, I think that misses the mark altogether. But I agree with you. I think it's such a cool little unit, and it would sell incredibly well if we could get it in. But I think it's because of all of those things. Wouldn't pass crash worthiness. If the BMW 3 Wagon would come back, Happy New Year. Wonder if the BMW 3 Wagon would come back. Do not like the Merc C-Wagon gear lever. I guess Volvo V60 would be the only all-wheel drive wagon left. I really do like the C-Class wagon, and I agree with you. It's too bad about the 3 Series. I emailed BMW Canada about that, and they were pretty adamant that it's not here. C-Class is a Canada-only vehicle. You can't get it in the United States, which is something that's kind of cool and different and would eventually be, I think, quite sought after. I disagree with you about the shifter thing. Andrea and I are having this discussion today because we just picked up the A-Class, and she's in your camp, doesn't like it. I say after a month you wouldn't even think about it. It's not that big a deal. But the Volvo V60 is one hell of a car. I was at the dealer last week. I was at the Volvo dealer picking up the XC40, which is there a picture of it there? No, it's gonna drop on Saturday, the video, and they had a black V60 wagon sitting in front of the dealer. I was like, that is a good looking car. Martin is saying satin finish would be much better than high gloss. I think what we're talking about here is the piano black finish. I don't mind it. I just don't like it when it's overdone. There's too much of it. Yeah, there you go. Eddie Chin is saying, go Canada, go. Let me just check on the score here. Hey, Jack, what's the score? Oh, it looks like Canada just scored again.
Yeah.
What's the score?
5-0.
5-0. Nice. With a minute and a half to go. So Canada's going to the final. Thank you for all the content you provide for us Canadians. I appreciate that. Yale Rosner is here. You haven't been here in a while. Where you been, brother? Happy New Year, Zach and Co. You went from Honda Civic, second car for your son. Remind me why not a VW GTI. My daughter has her L and I'm shopping. Cheers. Guinness for me tonight. Well, Yale, perfectly honest with you, for young drivers, so Jack, who just came and sat down here, is 18, and our youngest will be 16 in March. So I wanted a car that was going to be safe and have the advanced forward collision warning and autonomous braking, basically all the safety features. So I wanted to buy a used car, and the first kind of year that fit that was 2017. We thought about getting a Corolla, but the Corolla is just too boring. And I think the Civic looks better, and I think it handles better because you got to remember the old Corolla didn't have independent rear suspension. Even though they added that advanced safety system on all their cars, I think right around 2017. So we went Civic, and I also don't believe in giving young people a high horsepower car. Like, I know what I was like when I was 16. If you had given me a GTI, I would have wrapped it around a tree, and I don't want that. So I think the Civic is a nice balance of, it's got the advanced safety features, it's certainly big and roomy, their friends can get in it when they're allowed to have friends in with their, graduated license. It's got the safety features, it's good on gas, it's reliable, and it's not that fast, right? It's 148 horsepower, I believe. It's just slow enough. That's why I went for it. I thought about a Golf. I did think about a Golf. But the advanced safety features was easier to find in the Civic. Happy New Year. What are your thoughts on purchasing a car through Canada Drives? I don't really know much about them, to be honest with you. I think that's just an online portal where you can just order your car online. I see the ads on TV, but I don't know much about them. It's interesting how there have so far been a couple questions asking to choose between Mazda with a premium brand. That's a very astute observation. I would agree with you, and this is exactly what Mazda's hoping to do with their turbocharged offerings. So the turbocharged CX-5 is at the top end of the trim, the GT and the Signature. The Mazda 3 is with their GT trim, and then the CX-30 is going to be the GT trim as well. So those higher end trims are going to offer a lot of content because they're already the fully loaded models, but with the turbocharged engine, I think it's going to do a lot for the brand. And there's going to be a lot of people that go, I can have, well, for example, an Audi Q3, or I can have, fully loaded Mazda with more power, and it's less expensive. I think that's going to be a winning strategy for them. What do you think of the SQ5? I like it. I think it's a great product. If I was buying a Q5, I would get the SQ5. Now, make sure it's the new one, the 2021, because there have been some minor updates to it. Unless you get a good deal. And that's why you might want to go to Car Cost Canada and check. There might be some outstanding 2020s. It's actually a very good time to be buying a car because the 2020s are now a year old. The calendar has clicked over to a new year. If there's old stock sitting on the dealers and there's new cars coming, they are want to incentivize, and that's where you go to Car Cost Canada, sign up using the promo code MOTORMOUTH, become an expert member, and you can maybe, I don't know this for a fact, but if you look it up, you'll be able to see it online. Okay, I'm going to get a 2020 SQ5 versus the new, slightly updated one, and it's just a slight update. It's a facelift, and save some money. So that's for you to decide. But this is actually a very good time to be buying cars. End of a model year, beginning of a new calendar year.
Canada won 5-0.
5-0?
Yeah.
Thank you. It's the final. 5-0 is the final. That's good. Reg is saying, Happy New Year, Zach. Please keep Andrea on the program. Would you offer your thoughts on the Honda Insight Hybrid? I hear it lacks power, hills, and passing. Well, thank you for that. Yeah, Andrea's not going anywhere. Andrea is now an integral part of the channel. And I have to say, Google and YouTube is an odd thing. Like, it really is a tricky sort of code to crack. It all comes down to their algorithm. But the good news is, and we're fairly encouraged, is over the last 6 weeks, the algorithm seems to have picked up our channel a little bit more and is promoting it more because there's only so much you can do. You really are at the mercy of the outlet, which is YouTube, to help promote it for you, which is what happens with channels. They become suggested more and more, and the channels really can grow quickly. This channel's been around for a long time. It's always been very steady, but now with Andrea on board, it seems to be getting a little bit more attention. And I think a big part of it is that there's been lots of great comments. People have certainly embraced her on the show. As for the Insight Hybrid, I've only driven it once. I didn't find there was any issue with it. Actually, I really enjoyed it. I think that if you're in the market for... Now, we're talking about the sedan, not the old one, which was the little crazy three-door. So the sedan I thought was great. And if you're in the market for a Civic and you're thinking maybe you want to go hybrid, it's not a bad choice. And I think it's a better looking car than the Civic. So, yeah, I didn't notice. And this is where you need to go and try it for yourself and take it to the hills that you drive on every day and see if you notice anything. We have another super chat. Austin Hitchcock. I ordered a Telluride over Sorrento. Thanks for your advice. Most dealers are saying 4 to 6 months, but two said 6 to 10 weeks. Any idea why the discrepancy? I think they're just putting you on the, under promise and over deliver. If I was buying a mid-size 3-row utility, I would choose the Telluride myself. Andrea might have a different idea. She liked the Sorrento for the size and maneuverability. But if it was me and I was making the decision on my own, I would get the Telluride, and I would suggest that you just order it and wait. Even if it was 6 months, it goes by pretty quickly. You would want to get a 2021 for sure. And if you're going to not order it until like the summer, then you want to order a 2022. But yeah, I think it's a hot vehicle. That's good. There's way more demand than they can produce. That's a good problem for Kia. And it's a nice thing for you to have as an asset. Hopefully won't depreciate as quickly. But I think what the dealers are basically just saying, put your name down, and we don't want to overpromise anything. But boy, it's going to be interesting to look at the overall sales of brands like the Ford Explorer when you factor in both Kia and Hyundai and you add them together to see what they do compared to a established brand like that. Because as much as I like the Telluride and Palisade, I dislike the Explorer. I didn't think it was very good at all. Sorry, I got to go back to where I was. It's a lot of questions here. Man, that's good. We have 200 and Almost 70 people on board right now and 70 thumbs up. So you guys can smash that. Thumbs up would be great. Every other car in Burlington is a new Mazda. Well, I'm glad. I hope Mazda's going to be happy about that. Happy New Year, Zach, man, and family. All the best in 2021. Same to you. We have another one here from Evan Katz. Happy New Year, Zach, from the Empire State. The previous owner of this house, his last name was Katz. So Happy New Year to you. Can't wait to get back to New York. I noticed you and your wife are now doing all your videos together. It's a great dynamic. What is your wife's favorite car in the various price categories? Well, it's interesting because what I proposed to Andrea, we did our top 10 video and people really liked us talking, and that was good. So I suggested to Andrea, we're going to do a little sort of sit down, get to know Andrea, sort of her background. And it's quite interesting. We were talking about it the other day, is how, I've been doing car reviews for a lot of years and she's been exposed to the car industry and all of these cars for in next year. In 2022, well, I've been test driving cars for 30 years. I know I started when I was 16. And so she's been exposed to all of these cars. So she's picked up a lot just through osmosis. And now that she's doing the reviews with me on the channel, she is an absolute student up there all afternoon on the computer looking up all the specs and figures. So yeah, that's not a bad idea. We'll get that together and we'll ask her some questions, what she likes and doesn't like. Don't lease a car for a term longer than the warranty coverage. Other than luxury brands, most mainstream cars have 3-year warranties. I guess you don't lease a car for a term longer than the warranty coverage. I disagree with that. If you get a 4-year lease, I don't know, you can always... I'm not sure I agree with that. Have you or anyone you know ever dealt with importing JDM right hand into Canada? Happy New Year to you and your family. I don't personally know of anybody who's done it. There are a crap load of right hand drive JDM vehicles on the West Coast. And there are certainly importers. And what they do is they get them a lot of times from auction and they bring them over from Japan. And the cars that come in often are in immaculate shape. First of all, the Japanese as a culture are fastidious with looking after their items. I mean the wristwatches, going and looking at used wristwatches when you're in Tokyo. They're in perfect condition. So Japanese culture is look after the things that you own. They're very fastidious with their cars. They don't have really harsh weather like they do get snow in some areas of the country, but there's not a lot of salt or anything like that. And as the cars get older, the taxes go up, or the road tax goes up. So the Japanese government wants to get old cars off the road and replenish the fleet with new, more efficient cars. So as cars get older, they become more expensive to insure, and the road tax goes up. So those often get shipped outside of the country. And the ones that I've seen are in fantastic shape. So I would just do a quick Google search for JDM dealers. I think most of them are going to be here on the West Coast. I know there's one in the Okanagan, I believe, that specializes in a lot of utilities, like the Mitsubishi Delica, that sort of thing. But yeah, a quick Google search, you'll be able to find that. Was watching Old Firm Derby over the weekend, Rangers Celtics. Just curious who you'd pick between those two, even though I suspect you're either a Hearts or Hibs sympathizer. Yes, you're right. My family's from Edinburgh. We're not from Glasgow. I have to say, though, my cousin who lives in Edinburgh, his wife worked for Rangers, and she would commute from Edinburgh and worked in their PR department for years. I would say probably, I'd have to go with what my cousin, I don't know which team I would support. I should phone my dad. I always funny was when my brother and I were young, we'd go to Scotland and people would come up to us when we were kids, right? And they'd say, "What football team do you support?" And my brother would say like the Dallas Cowboys, and I'd say the Hamilton Tiger Cats or whatever. And they looked at us like we had three heads. But that's a common question. What team do you support? But it would be Hibs or Hearts. This has become the best car family on YouTube. Cheers. Well, that's very nice of you to say. I think that's the collective community we have here. We've got some nice people on the live shows. HFAM, your thoughts on buying pre-owned 13 Panamera GTS out of warranty? Car have 20,000 kilometers. Main concern is inevitable costly repairs on air suspension down the road. Thanks. Well, what I would suggest you do is a 13 Panamera GTS. Is that the V8 car? If it is, that's one hell of a car. I'm pretty sure it is. The 13 GTS was the V8. I love that car. I did a video on the red one on the channel. That's one of my favorites. So 20,000 kilometers on a car is a very, very low mileage for that year. It all comes down to the maintenance and the work that's being done on the car. You can still buy warranties for older cars like that, but they're kind of expensive. You have to go into these things with your eyes wide open. Get the car inspected by somebody that knows Porsches. You can take it to a dealer, but there'll be specialty shops that can do a pre-purchase inspection. I would suspect that a car with that few kilometers on it probably is going to be fine for a while, but the air suspension is a worry. Or just say to yourself, I just got a budget that if anything was to break on the air suspension, that it would have to be fixed. But that's a very low mileage car, and what a great machine. If it is I'm trying to remember what year they switched. They went from the V8 to the Turbo 6, but the V8 is the one to get. It's a hell of a car. Just get it inspected. Are new cars readily available now in Canada? Stocks of new cars have plummeted in Australia due to COVID. Dealer, demonstrator, and secondhand stock prices are up. Price on demand. We had that here for sure, Martin. And thank you. That's cool. We've got somebody from Australia on the channel right now. We had that at the beginning of COVID. They shut everything down, and then prices of used cars went through the roof, and finding a good used car, it was tough. And that's when we were shopping for our Civic. There doesn't seem to be any real shortage of a lot of cars. There might be specific instances, like, somebody was mentioning the Telluride. I think that's just due to demand. Manufacturing seems to have come back now. What we are seeing, though, is specific models or trims of models are not available because maybe a part supplier doesn't have a part. And if you don't have one part for a car, you can't complete the car. So if it's a specialty item, they might not be able to make like a package for a certain model. And we're seeing that the car brands are trimming down their model offerings or their trim offerings to simplify the manufacturing process. But we're not seeing a huge problem at all. We're seeing a fairly good supply of new cars. Rob Taylor is here saying, didn't like your 10 best. Great. You know what I say to people like that? Here, I got an idea for you. I say this to Andrea all the time. Get your iPhone out, upload a video onto YouTube, start your own YouTube channel, and have at it. Go for it. It's very democratic. All you need now is a phone, a laptop, and a Google account, and you too can have a YouTube channel. So we can all go on your YouTube channel and criticize you. As a Canadian, would you like to see car manufacturers based in Canada with original products in your lifetime? Odds. Well, no, I don't think it's going to happen. We have had some Canadian brands in the past, like Bricklin. We used to have McLaughlin Buick way back in the decades and decades ago. It's just not feasible because we have such an integrated supply chain with all of the main brands that are made. Canada is a manufacturing center for cars. It is diminishing in importance and it's diminishing in output compared to what it once was. But the fact that we still have a manufacturing base for cars is good. We've had new announcements for infrastructure into the domestic brands, be it FCA in the Windsor for electrification. We've seen it in Oakville. Electrification platform is coming for the Oakville plant, and also for General Motors is going back into Oshawa and making pickup trucks. So the fact that we don't have a Canadian brand of car, I don't think it really matters. I think people just want to have a good paying job and to pay their bills. Zach, can you give me your thoughts between the Highlander Platinum versus the Volkswagen Atlas top trim? Well, the Volkswagen Atlas is like the biggest. If it's not the biggest, it's one of the biggest in this category. We have a different kind of approach for the Highlander versus the Atlas when it comes to the way they go about engines, especially. The Atlas has an old engine, but it's a proven and reliable engine. It's the 3.6 liter VR6 that's been around for a long, long time, 8-speed automatic transmission, and then you go over to the Toyota, and they use a 3.5 liter, but it's newer technology. It's more fuel efficient, and then you can get the hybrid version that's really efficient. So if it's just straight space, I would suggest the Atlas. Drive them both and see which one you like. Oh, getting back to the guy criticized our top 10 list, and I'm just being cheeky about start up your own channel. You know what? I go through the analytics on the YouTube channel. You know the only videos that we lose subscribers, it's the live chat. I must be saying things that people don't like. But that's what you do when you put yourself out there and have an opinion. Some people don't like it, so they unsubscribe. That's the way it goes. Jacob is saying, would you buy a 16 Lexus RX for 37 Canadian? If not, what would you buy? What you need to do is go to CanadianBlackBook.com, look up a 2016 Lexus RX with the specific trim, how many kilometers are on it, all those sorts of things, and see what the wholesale price is for that car, what the retail price is. So CanadianBlackBook.com, and you type in what's my car worth, and you'll be able to look that up for that particular model. I don't know the market value of a 2016 Lexus RX. What I'd say about it in its favor is it's just going to work, right? You're going to buy it, you're going to drive it, you're going to enjoy it, and it's going to just do everything that you ask it to. I'm trying to remember what year the new Lexus RX came in. Is that the last of the old model or the first year of the new model? It was right around then, because the current RX has been out. It might be right on the cusp there. The older model was kind of okay. It didn't have a great interior. That was the short coming for it for me. It didn't handle particularly well. But if you're just looking for a car that's going to work every day, you can't go far wrong with that. What else would you get for $37,000? A used. Yeah, it's not a bad choice, the RX. Oh, we got some super chats to get to. I'm missing them here. I apologize. Trade Review says, do you have a change to try new generation Genesis sedan like the G80? She had a chance to. If yes, what are your thoughts? Yes, there is a video on the channel of the G80. I encourage you to go and watch it. It came out a few weeks ago. So what I would suggest is you go back and watch it, and there's all my views on it. I think that they did a very good job with the G80. I like driving it. I don't like their infotainment system. I think it's a bit of a hot mess. The big screen is beautiful, 14.6 inches, I believe. But I just found the interface was a bit fiddly. Didn't like it. I think the steering wheel looks like a real grandpa design. So those are my thoughts on it initially. I think that it's a fine car. The 2.5 liter turbo is surprisingly good. So if you were thinking of getting one, that's not a bad way to go. However, they keep a lot of the features, and if you watch the video, it's on the channel. I break it down for you. Go and have a look. We have some more super chats here. Happy New Year to you and Andrea. Just a little super chat. Love to usher in the new year. Well, I'm all down with that. Thank you very much. And we have another one here from Justice Pool. Thank you for these super chats. Very generous of everybody. Peter has a super chat as well. Thanks for answering my question and great response to the dude about your top 10. Well, I'm kind of being cheeky and not at the same time. I think it's really easy on social media and YouTube and all those sorts of things to write responses like that. Hey, if you don't like what we do, don't watch. I mean, you don't have to. There's 8 billion people on the planet, and we just get a very small sliver of them watching this channel. If you don't like it, Yuri and Jacob will give you a video, and the Throttle House will give you a video, and the Fast Lane Car will give you, and Redline will give you a video. There you go. But we're trying something different over here. We're doing our little slice of the world. And, as I mentioned a moment ago, people seem to be responding. Okay, I got to go back to where I was. Because, the worst thing is if someone sees their question coming up, then I skip down, then I don't go back to it. They're like, I was right there. Boston Ma, how you doing, brother? How's the GTI running? Haven't been here for a while. Nice to see you. What are your thoughts on the new full-size Range Rover plug-in hybrid? I haven't driven it. Range Rover has switched suppliers when it comes to their press fleet, so I'll see if I can get my hands on it. Hi, Zach. Happy New Year. Why is Kia all of a sudden changing the names of their cars? Kia Optima to K5, Kia Sedona to Kia Carnival. They have. I'm not sure I've heard about the Sedona changing name. The K5 is the name of the car in Korea, so they're just going to a uniform naming for it. I kind of like it. A K5 is a great name, I think. The K900 wasn't a good name, but yeah, I don't know. Companies do that sort of stuff all the time. Oh, so what's happened here? Something's happened. My screen has moved. Oh boy. There we go. What can you say about FCA and PSA? Well, the merger of the name of the company, I can never remember how to say it. Anyway, it sounds like a erectile dysfunction medication. And if you have an erection that lasts longer than 4 hours, please go and see your doctor. I think that, companies are trying to share costs. That's really what it comes down to. The cost to develop electrified platforms, hybrids, all the infrastructure around it, all of those sorts of things. You have to autonomous, infrastructure for cars is so expensive. Billions and billions and billions of dollars. These smaller companies, even though FCA is not small, they really have to team up, and it's going to probably be a good thing that they can share these costs. That's really all it comes down to. Chris Ha is here saying, it's Chris from Edmonton. I heard that Toyota is bringing an EV BZ SUV to North America. Is that true? Nothing is being confirmed yet. Any speculation you hear out of Toyota is just that. They're probably the one company that is the most tight-lipped about what is coming. There are very few leaks about Toyota. They do a good job with keeping it under wraps, but we'll have to wait and see. People are going back and forth on answering questions for each other in the chat, which is kind of confusing. Could you please compare the GLE X5 XC90? Thank you. In my opinion, I believe the best mid-size luxury SUV on the market of the GLE is the X5. I think the latest X5 is fantastic. The base engine, the inline six-cylinder, is fantastic. The way that engine works with the transmission, the platform, it's light, it's agile. It's not light, but it feels agile. It's got an interior that has just been refined and is actually quite simple and easy to use. In my opinion, that's the one I like. The GLE is too soft for my taste. It's just a personal taste thing. That's why I like the X5. And the XC90 is a three-row utility. So you have to ask yourself, I guess you're comparing three rows. I would probably go X5. What is your take on Jaguar and Land Rover as a brand despite its issues? Why do people keep buying them? Regards from Lima, Peru. Well, Land Rover and Range Rover especially is a brand that appeals to a wealthy set of people. And for Land Rover, it's the seating position. Really, if you ask, especially women who have these, they love the seating position of their cars, their trucks. You get in and the seats are comfortable, you see over the dash, and they're actually, even though they're big, quite easy to maneuver and park because they're boxy. That is the thing, and it's a prestigious brand. I mean, a Range Rover is a pretty nice looking car, and it certainly has a lot of curb appeal. And it's a lot of heritage behind the brand. A lot of people that own Range Rovers specifically love them, and they keep getting them. So there you go. Jaguar, they need to redo the F-Pace and so on. Jaguar is struggling, or Jaguar, as I just mentioned a moment ago. Do you think the Chinese auto industry would invade the U.S. and Canadian market? Also, do you when PSA will start selling cars in our marketplace? So what you're asking is, are we going to get the European cars here in North America? I don't think we're going to start seeing the French brands popping up here. I just don't see much of a market for it, especially on the heels of how poorly it went for Fiat and even Alfa Romeo. I mean, they tried to bring in Fiat and Alfa Romeo, and I mean, the most popular car they had was the Fiat 500. They don't even sell it anymore. And Alfa hasn't taken off the way they had hoped. So I really don't see them bringing in French brands to North America as standalone dealerships. There's going to be platform sharing. We're going to get French, and some of the French cars are beautifully designed, and they have really cool interiors, beautiful interiors. So we could see some of that come to our shores as a different brand. I really don't see them bringing in French cars as their own nameplate. Now, for the Chinese, what you're probably going to see is we're not going to see an en masse invasion of our marketplace with Chinese-made cars. I think what you're going to start to see is some vehicles coming to our shores from brands where they make their cars in China, like Volvo, like General Motors. I mean, General Motors is massive. Maybe even Volkswagen Group could bring a car from China that's assembled there and brought here. One brand I think that has an opportunity to come to North America, but might be good to partner with a bigger brand and repackage their cars under a new name would be NIO. That's the electric car company in China. And we saw this. Some of you are too young maybe to know, but there used to be, for example, Mitsubishi would sell their cars to brands like Dodge, and we had Dodge products. The original, like the Stealth, was a Mitsubishi, right? So all of that technology that other brands can basically license to a North American brand or a brand that's just sold in North America. I think that could happen, but we'll have to wait and see. Have you watched any crash videos from IIHS? It's amazing how new cars are so much safer than 5-year-old models from the same manufacturer. Yes, it is absolutely true. Like a lot of people say, oh, they don't make cars like they used to. And I say, thank God they don't make cars like they used to. Cars are safer. They're more reliable. They have way more technology in them. They have way more standard safety features. A car today that's being retired from the road in the Canadian market has about 300,000 kilometers on the odometer. I think that's going to go up as we go through the next few years. So the good old days really, maybe other than styling, weren't that good. The cars didn't last as long. They rusted more. They certainly weren't safer. So I agree with you. I think that it's amazing to see how much, and now new cars are much more efficient and cleaner, all those sorts of things. Your video on the Nissan Murano was one of the biggest reasons I bought a Nissan Murano SL all-wheel drive blue last month. It's awesome, and so is your work. Thank you so much. God bless. Well, there you go. That is a bit of a deal right now. I'm telling you, the Murano is like a car that nobody thinks about, but it's actually a nice size. It's really nice on the inside. The only bugaboo is the reliability issues with the CVT, but if you know that going in, just factor that into your purchase decision. I think people are talking back and forth in this chat. Instead of asking me questions, they're communicating with each other. So it's a bit interesting. I have a Golf Sport Wagon, but the ride is super unpleasant. Really? I find the ride is quite soft. Hi, Zach. Care to share your thoughts on the Honda Insight? Okay, so we've already done that one. Yeah, there's a lot of chatting going on back and forth. Why isn't the new Sorento in your top 2020 list? Is it that bad? No, Dinesh, we hadn't got it yet. We actually got the Sorento just a couple of days before Christmas. That top 10 video list we recorded the week before. So it's not that we don't like it. It's just that we had already put that video to bed. And we had the Sorento for 2 weeks. It just went back this morning. Austin is saying thanks for making the best videos. Claudio is saying Happy New Year to Zach and Andrea. You picked a Cadillac car of the year, but I don't see many Cadillac sedans that much anymore. Well, I think that's part of the one of the reasons why I think that our choice was kind of a bold choice. Cadillac has thrown a lot at this new car. The CT5 is a very good car. And just interestingly, one of the followers here on the channel sent me a note saying that Consumer Reports, they do a sort of a car and review podcast. It's on YouTube. You can look it up. And one of their reviewers, he chose the Cadillac CT5 as one of his top vehicles of the year as well. So you have to give credit where credit is due. They did a very good job with this car. They have put a lot into it, and it's good. I mean, I can't say anything more than that. Whether it sells or not, that's not for me to decide. That's for the public and also for their marketing department. But I think the fact that they have made a good car, they should be commended for that. You got to remember that maybe where you live, a Cadillac isn't a deal, but in parts of North America especially, Cadillac is still a big deal, right? Especially Sunbelt regions. You go down to Florida and places like that, you still see Cadillacs. They're still a thing. Hey, Zach, concerning Caymans, is the GTS 4.0 worth the extra money over the S? I remember correctly, you said that the S is the sweet spot. Yes, the S is the turbo 4-cylinder. If you can get the GTS 4-liter, yes, that is the one you should get. Now, the S is the sweet spot before they brought out this new flat 6, I should say, the 4-liter. So I would agree with you, that would have been the one to get. But now that they have the GTS, and you'll see the sales after a year, it's going to be almost all GTS because it's such a good car. When will the new Taos be coming out in Canada? It's going to be this year. It's probably going to be close to summer. I'll find out. I'll send my buddy Thomas an email from VW and find out when they're going to do that. Okay, I just want to make sure I didn't miss any super chats, because I know it's not Tuesday, but it's tacos tonight, and I'm good with that. There's one I missed here. Thoughts on a Mini Countryman S All 4? It's the same platform as the BMW X1. A lot of people aren't aware of that, but BMW and Mini are the same company. They're owned by the same company, and they share the same platform. The Countryman might be a better deal, but also look at the X1 if you want a little bit more power, because the engine in the X1 definitely has that. I like it. It's a great handling vehicle. I had the John Cooper Works one at the beginning of the last year, and one hell of a fun vehicle to drive. I got no problem with it. Okay, I don't think I missed any others. Excuse me. Oh, there it is. Stefan is saying Stellantis. That's the name of the new merger with FCA. Stellantis. Doesn't it sound like erectile dysfunction pill? Stellantis. Contact your doctor after 4 hours. All right, we have gone over an hour here. Thanks to everybody that's on board. I will see you next Monday. I didn't get any pictures this week, so if you want to get a picture in, zach@motormouth.ca. Take care, and you guys have a great night. I'll speak to you soon. Don't forget, the Gladiator drops on Wednesday, and the Volvo XC40 drops on Saturday. We'll see you there. Bye now.